Ange.
Hey, Les, how are you?
Double thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that was only one. Double thumbs up.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't do that intentionally. But that's because the program just felt my spirit and my happiness and all of that. That's why it gave me the fanfare.
Okay.
You're looking kind of good in your, is that creamsicle almost lipstick?
Yeah. It's
brick.
It's a little more red than it comes across, which is good. But I wanted to go a little orangey for my West Coast, my time in the West Coast. And so,
it's working for you. It's a nice vibe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, folks, welcome to another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn. It's special guest time, so that means I start doing my happy dance. All right. You guys will be dancing when you hear about this lady that I'm about to introduce, because you're going to say, you know what? I need her in my life. Because that's what I said. And you guys know how I am. I'm kind of anal, but I need this lady in my life. So let me just tell you about Gayle L. Walker. All right, Ange, you want to jump in? What are you going to say?
Thank you.
I
just want to say how Gayle and I met, just really briefly. And, when you're in spaces where you feel energetically drawn to someone, it is so important for you to act on that. Sometimes it's not, the moment doesn't lend itself to that. Yeah. But at some other point, don't just think that it's, some kind of random thing. Act on it, because that's how this right now came to happen. So
I love that you said that, Ange, because so many times we get not intimidated, but we think it's nothing or whatever. Yeah. But I also think that the universe sets us up and puts us in contact with people so that it gives us opportunities to step up.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you go ahead, because I really want to introduce her. So you better be quick.
Okay. It's going to be quick. So you guys know that I went to an event convention in Puerto Rico in January. And it was just this amazing group of primarily Black and brown and underrepresented groups of women. And they had these sessions called brain dates, where anyone who was there could offer their special sauce, I'd like to call it, in a session, right? So you could go into this app and you could say, what is it that you wanted to offer, and how many people? I think the max was 5. And then there were breaks in the convention where you could go and sign up for a brain date.
Okay.
So I did a brain date on, what I do is do my morning writing. So I did a brain date on that, and I called it, and I just lost it. Anyway, it was about kind of seeking peace and answers through a daily writing practice. Gayle came to that session, and she got what I was talking about. It really clicked for her. And of course, we exchanged all the niceties, whatever, and we talked. And then, Gayle, I think that I followed up with you, just kind of checking in. Was it me or was it you? I don't even remember.
Guys, I think I was chasing after you. In the picture with you, and then I was telling everybody about our brain date.
Right.
Yes, and then I found you. I looked back in the app and found you and said, "Hey, remember me?" And
of course. It was so great. Can I tell people?
Wait a minute, almost done. And then, so we're kind of like Leslie. I'm telling you, don't. So we're kind of like business besties. Gayle and I.
It's okay. I accept that, because I have a barrier as to I don't even know half of your businesses. I can't. It doesn't make sense to me. So go ahead.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that and the ways that we have been talking about partnering on the business front. So with that, I'm going to let Leslie do the formal.
And then I, at some point in this podcast, will tell you what Gayle and I have in common. We have several things in common, okay? No jealousy, no shade, just telling you. So anyway, Gayle L. Walker, a dynamic force hailing from vibrant Atlanta metropolitan area and rooted in Northern California's sunny spirit, is the powerhouse behind Life Doula. Though she proudly calls herself a California girl at heart, Gayle's foundation is deeply ingrained in the rich traditions of the South, thanks to her parents' background from Alabama and North Carolina. I'm just going to jump to one other important area. Life Doula, Gayle's brainchild, emerged from her belief that women are phenomenal beings, capable of birthing not just children, but ideas, businesses, and better versions of themselves. Recognizing that no one should navigate these life changes alone, Life Doula became the modern day village, offering unparalleled support during pivotal transitions. And at that, I'm going to introduce you to Gayle L. Walker. Hi, Gayle. Welcome.
Thank you.
Gayle.
That was so lovely.
Welcome, Gayle. So she left some parts out, and I would like you to talk about them, instead of kind of just the scripted, like how the life in on the West Coast, East Coast, what got you talk about that and a little family background.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I will share, I lived in Brooklyn for about 4 years. I was a recruiter in the Navy. I lived in Fort Greene when Fort Greene was still Fort Greene.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where our high school was, right in Fort Greene.
That's where we met.
Wow.
Yes. So there's a little Brooklyn in me.
We'll
That's
take it.
bio, but just wanted to throw that out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
I left out quite a bit. Military service, nursing training, healthcare.
All the things.
All the things. Bring it to us.
So I born in Chicago. That's where my parents grew up. We moved to California. I grew up in California. And then in high school, my family, we moved south. We moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
So huge transition point, if you can imagine, moving from California to Atlanta. But both have served me well.
Good.
And grew up in a military family. My dad was in the military. I tease and share with people I've been in the military since I was 2. So I knew corners before I joined the military, before I became a nurse. But we could talk about all of these things, but the thing that's really exciting about what I do, it is a perfect blend of all of my experiences. Working as a nurse corps officer, the leadership, the clinical training, growing up in a very structured, conservative home environment where I had to learn all these life skills and become independent. The jobs that I had in the Navy, working as a recruiter in New York City, doing leadership and training development in Newport, Rhode Island, in addition to the clinical work that I did, all of these experiences have created this perfect blend. And I landed in this place, really a spirit-filled place.
Wow.
Seeking what is my purpose.
Wow.
So after doing 21 years in the Navy, I was like, I can do a lot of things. And I think a lot of women are like, I could do almost anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the thing. And I didn't know what the thing would be. So I took a year off after retiring from the Navy. And during that sabbatical, a friend of mine had a baby and she needed help. And this was a baby we had dreamed of. This is a baby we had talked about over happy hour.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we manifested this baby.
This is our baby.
And so I said, you know what? I will come out and help your family. I will come out and help you and your husband. I truly am not doing anything but, yoga. So I will help. And I went reluctantly, but it just turned out to be this truly magical experience. When I say magical, I was transformed in the service of my friend.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
And then your healing, your training and healing kicked in.
Yeah.
So you had the time to devote to someone who you've been connected with for some period of time. And then we don't predict when babies come. They just come when they come. And you were ready and there for it.
Yes, I was. And
I don't believe it was only for her.
Oh no. It was for me.
Exactly. I think moments like this. Go ahead.
And I distinctly, clearly remember the day that I was leaving. We were getting ready to go to the airport. We had a little bit of time and we were sitting in the kitchen. And she's like, I understand why your time here has been so impactful and so important. And she's like, I figured it out. She's like, it's because you took care of me. She's like, when my mom's here, my mom's all about the baby. She doesn't do what I asked her to do. She does what she wants to do. It's all about the baby. When anyone comes to the house, it's all about the baby. She's like, but you took care of me.
Wow.
And so there's this whole notion built into the work that I'm doing around this notion of caregiving. But not just the caregiving, the being cared for. Yeah. We have lost the sense of what does it feel like to be cared for? Like truly be cared for, like to submit in it. And times where we do, it's when we're flat on our back and sick.
Yeah, when we have no other choice. That is what, especially as Black women, we will, to a fault, we will reject support and just, like you said, surrendering.
I'm okay.
Help.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
I do
okay.
anything
Crying
for you?
every
Wait,
night.
I can get that.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Wow.
The premise of my work is that, yes, it's really important to have support when you are birthing and when you bring a baby home. And so our birth doulas and our postpartum doulas are just really just serving in an incredible way in those spaces. And then at end of life, when you're transitioning, supporting families at end of life. But there's a whole lot of life
between birth and death.
Yes.
And I'm like, and that's my playground. That's the one to serve.
Yes.
So
let me say, two things that I want to say right off the bat. One is oftentimes when we are gifted with a lot of different things that we do well, especially as entrepreneurs, we're told to focus on one thing, do one thing, and then maybe once you kind of get that off the ground, you can add other things to it. That's one of the models that we hear about as entrepreneurs. I think what Gayle does and what I believe I do also is find that intersection of the things that we do well. And when I say do well, I also mean that because I think it's a part of it, you do it well and you love doing it. And she's found this particular place, but she found it by doing the thing and then recognizing how transformative it is for both the person she's serving and herself. Yeah. And then kind of packaging it as Life Doula, the in-betweens. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we're going to go into detail about what this is. And we want to kind of link it to some of the other conversations that we've had with other guests. The other thing I want to say is Gayle always talks about and this is one of our intersections. She always talks about building capacity for people. So I want you to talk about that concept as it relates to the services that you provide and how it creates capacity for your clients.
Certainly. So one of the things, as I've done this work, that I've found is that Elizabeth Gilbert, she has this quote that says, "I'm my best self when I have less on my plate." I'm my best self when I have less.
I need to write that down.
Leslie, do this so that your thing will go off again. Do this. Do something. Hey!
Yes. And that quote really resonates with the capacity building, that when I have less on my plate, I can really focus on the thing that matters most. And that's the premise of Life Doula.
Okay.
We think of postpartum doulas, birth doulas, they're there to support so you can focus on the thing that matters most. So when I serve families in their homes, your focus might be your parents. Your focus might be yourself, getting that workout in. Your focus might be a promotion. Your focus might be spending more time with your children. So what else can be delegated and moved off your plate so you can be the best caregiver of yourself?
Isn't it? Doesn't it just make you want to feel like, yes, please?
It does.
When they walk in the door, to be the best partner. So it's building, the capacity building is about giving you space to live, really.
Yes.
I love that you're putting it in that way, because we, especially, we as Black women, we buy into we can do anything, all we can do more.
Strong
and
Black women,
instead of, we just keep filling the bucket instead of taking,
get out of my way, I can do it.
I can do it.
I can do it better.
Right. Take care of my kids like me, which is true.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you're supposed to do all of it.
And it also doesn't mean that it doesn't take a toll on you. Right. That it doesn't leave skid marks.
Exactly. That part.
Yeah. And then you wonder why I'm not able to focus. Why do I feel tired all the time? Why am I grumpy to my partner? Why am I not my best self at work? What's happened to me? Am I getting burned out and whatever?
Right. Right. All right. I want to zero in because Gayle just did a challenge. And Gayle, the reason why I want to talk about the challenge here is because it's going to give some real specificity around how some of your services look, like how people can engage with your services. And there's much more that we're going to talk about, because
my strings are hanging.
All the things that we've talked about moving abroad and so on, there's another aspect of what you do that connects to that. But I'm jumping the gun. Can you describe the challenge that you just conducted and what was kind of behind it, and what were some of the goals of the challenge that you did?
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
We'll make this a really richer conversation.
Yep.
So when I first started, you're talking about pivots. I stepped out of families' homes so that I could bring Life Doula, really promote it as a full-time CEO. And I really thought the way to expand the entrepreneur journey, how do you scale, was to find more caregivers like me to do this work so that more families can have this experience, or caregivers can have this experience.
Like a train the trainer type of thing.
Exactly. Train the trainer.
Okay.
That was that while I could do that work and I did it really well, it wasn't as much fun. So I spent some time thinking about what is it that I really want to do. And so one of the things that occurred to me was that do what you love. And one of the things that I love to do is decluttering. It's fun for me to not push in a chair that's not pushed in or close a closet door that's closed. Like, I'm a little anal like that.
Oh, my girl. Come to mama.
This is where I'm stepping back.
When I go to my sister's house, she's like, do not touch anything. And I'm like this.
Yeah, it's just like, but just this one thing. Let me just move it back.
Yeah. One thing that my clients really enjoyed, because I would do it, fold things, reorganize stuff, and they loved it. And I was like, man, maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the way to support, entry point to supporting families. And the other thing I found out in doing my caregiver placement work is that the placements that were the hardest, or the ones that did not match, were the ones where the homes were either disorganized or there were poor systems in place.
Okay.
And so out of that, it really helped me realize that we really need to be thinking of our homes as organizations. The same things that work in a corporate environment work in the home environment. We need systems at work. We need systems at home.
Right.
We got to learn how to work together and create connection at work. We absolutely need that. And the other piece is organization. Things need to be in their place. We need to be able to find them when we need them. And so I decided to make a pivot and really position my business as the forward-facing part of my business be decluttering. Because if you start with decluttering, it's like a domino effect. Things begin to fall into place. What needs to be here? And so I did a challenge. So I pivoted my business around decluttering and did a challenge. And the challenge was around the 5 steps for success to have a successful decluttering project. Now, I know that's a lot of words.
Okay, but listen, this is really this is really action based. And Gayle, the way that Gayle lays it out, it's like, how else could I? This is impossible to do other than this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you think because she takes out the stumbling blocks that make you, even though you really want to, you really don't know how. So
she removes the barriers.
Yeah. Because she created a system. So okay, yes, go.
So 5 steps. So first I'll say one of the biggest things that people do when they're in a situation where things are just cluttered is they just wake up and they're like, I can't take it anymore. And then they get started and then they stop because it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so the point of the challenge is, let's start small, scope a project that you can do in a weekend, and let's do it together so we can skill build, and then you can hit repeat and do it over and over. So the 5 steps are, the first thing to do is scope a project. If you only have 4 hours, don't try to declutter your garage. It's just not going to happen. Right. So pick a project that you can do for the challenge in a 48-hour period.
And set yourself up for success.
Up for success. Really think about, what is the area that we need to declutter? And what is the impact? If we can achieve this, what is the impact? So maybe it's declutter my son's room and get all the clothes that don't fit so we can improve our morning routine. Putting on his pants that are way up his leg. So maybe
just keeps growing. They fit yesterday.
He's going to get bullied.
To scope the project. Number 2 is get your supplies. So, you got to have your supplies, your trash bags, your boxes, tape, Sharpies, just basic supplies so that you have what you need so you don't have to run out and come back.
Right.
I like it.
And with the supplies, the biggest mistake that people make is they want to get the design stuff before they've decluttered. All the pretty
right.
But you don't even know how many you need. You don't know the size you need. You don't know where they're going to go.
Exactly. So you're going to scope it out. You're going to get your basic supplies. You're going to schedule the time. You're going to mark it on your calendar. You're going to let your girlfriends know you can't make it to brunch. Come to my house and help me. So you're going to schedule your friends, people that can help you. You might even want to schedule that Purple Heart Association to come and pick up the stuff that's be on curb on Monday.
Yeah, if you know they're coming, you got to have it ready for them.
Schedule to have Monday off so that you have a little more time. Yes. So really think about, what do I need to put in place? What things do I need to get off the calendar? Do I need a babysitter? Do I need the housekeepers to come in and clean out the space after we declutter? All those things, like really thinking through the project.
Okay.
You're going to scope it. You're going to get your supplies. You're going to schedule it. And then the night before, you're going to stage. So where are you going to actually do the decluttering? So, for instance, I worked with a young lady, fashionista. I mean, she had all the products, all the lashes, all the makeup, all the brushes. And so we had to use the hallway. We had to pull all of her beauty products out and use the hallway. So we had to use that painter plastic to protect the carpet. We also draped it over her bed so we could use that space as well. So we staged the scene. We set up our box. We staged the space. Right. And then the last thing we did was the actual sort. And I say the sort is where the magic happens. Oftentimes people pick up a thing and they're making decisions before they've sorted.
Okay.
Sort.
Right. So it's like if you have 5 of the same brushes, so you sort and then you can see, I can remove 4. Okay, got it.
Easier to say, okay, I have 40 pairs of jeans.
Right.
Now I can really let some things go. I can donate.
Right. But if you only think you would have 2 pair, you're never going to let them go.
Or if you're just picking up 1 pair of jeans and you're like, oh, I got to keep that. And you're not in the mind that, oh, I got 40 more. Do you know what I mean? So sorting for,
And oftentimes people don't know what they have because they have clothes everywhere in the guest bedroom closet, in their closets, in their own closet, in the coat closet. Part of the sorting process is to get everything together. It's like, okay, get all of my sweaters, all of them, from everywhere, from under the bed, from everywhere. And truly evaluate, out of all the sweaters, do I still love these things? And so those are the 5 steps that I share with people to help them have a successful decluttering project. So if you can do those 5 things, you are on your way to having a successful experience.
Now, there's one thing that I keep thinking of while you were speaking, the psychological aspect of it. Because you got to wear your psychologist hat while you're going through these 5 things. It's like...
Well, let me tell you, I have been surprised but not surprised about the triggers, the things that are triggered when I support with going through their things. It's pretty, it can be overwhelming. And
and it's very emotional. Letting go at what it represents and who I used to be. If I get rid of it, I'm no longer that person. So, we come with baggage in addition to the physical stuff, the emotional baggage.
Exactly. I wore this to an event and that was with someone who I thought I was going,
all kind of things.
All the things. And so the thing is not really about the thing. It's about what it represents.
Sure.
Right.
And so having these conversations with people is really helpful because when the emotions hit, it really takes people off guard. Also really an important part of the process, because until you identify the why you're keeping the thing, it'll just move around. You'll refold it and find a new place for it.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to say too that I did like a major reduction of possessions in the last 6 months, right? Because I sold a big home in 2022. Most of those things went into storage. And then I decided to let most of those things go when I moved into a smaller place. And I have to say that it's not about like just getting rid of the stuff, because if you don't kind of deal with, like Gayle is saying, the emotion part, I feel, I feel like I'm mourning some things that I did not process, but they're gone.
Like grieving.
So they're not clutter anymore, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I let that go. Or do you know what I mean? So it's a step that you, it's not something that you skip over just because you've decided that you're not going to
it's a better thing to do. Yeah, because then there's some residual.
Exactly.
That's tough. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're part of your identity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I think about when I retired from the Navy, I mean, you know, we have all of our different uniforms for different things. Mm-hmm. And for a while, I'm like, I'm not ready to deal with this stuff. So I just put it in a bin. Mm-hmm. So finally, I'm like, okay, I need to go through this stuff. And I realized that, wow, all of these uniforms represented an identity that I had been tied to since I was in high school. I did Army ROTC in high school.
ROTC. Wow.
Joined the Navy at 18 and went through ROTC in college. Had a 26-year history plus with the military. And so these uniforms represented a huge especially when I didn't know what I was transitioning to. And so there was a whole lot of conversation about what that meant. So your things are part of your identity. That you really need to understand the impact of that and ask the question, why am I keeping it? Why is it so hard? Lots of really great questions that you can answer and breakthroughs that you can have around asking the why question.
Right.
Wow.
What
I was intrigued about, in addition to just helping parents with their birthing and new children, but you assist entrepreneurs in launching businesses. I love that you said that you want to open up the opportunity for people to be their best selves. And I know I can speak personally, and I'm sure others can, where I said, you know what? I'm not bringing my best self to this experience. I'm not doing my best work. This is not the best version of me. And I have had to actively change a couple of things when I recognized that. But it was kind of hard.
But sometimes when I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I found when I'm not doing my best work, when I really truly focus on that, there's another emotion that's going on underneath that. And so it might be fear, it might be worthiness, it might be tiredness, it might mean I need to get more rest. This thing about being in this most brilliant space is really unnatural for a lot of people. Because being in a space where you are your most brilliant self means you created space. There is a spot for you. There is a spotlight. There's a supporting cast. And a lot of people never get that opportunity. He's creating and doing it for somebody else.
Wow. I call that like you found your life calling. When things align, Like you said, you identified some of those skills that were so helpful to other people across a lot of different arenas, but then were so self-fulfilling.
Right, right. Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. So one area, when I first told Leslie about Life Doula and the work that you're doing, Gayle, it was, first of all, when you talked about the clothes horse, does that include shoes horse and donkey and hippo, all the things? I mean,
that's you, huh, Ange?
All of the animals, Leslie, and okay. One of the reasons why I have to say is because Leslie loves to support designers, and she'll go to events and she'll buy stuff that she knows handmade.
For a minute, stop for a minute. Are you?
Yes.
Leslie,
it almost sounds like she's outing me.
No. This is not. Listen, these everything about Leslie, I have to tell you, everything about Leslie, whether it's personality, whatever it is, over my experience with her, I have benefited from. So this ain't, there's no shade around this. Okay. Let me tell you where we're coming in for a landing. Okay. So I talked about the fact that I kind of feel like I'm really agile right now because my space is downsized, my things, I'm not paying for storage anymore, and kind of, every 4 months just feel the heaviness of that I have to go deal with those things. They're gone. So I feel really agile, and there's a certain level of freedom that comes with that, right?
Yeah.
And so Leslie and I have been kind of thinking about, okay, what's next? Where are we going to retire and things like that? And, the potential of moving abroad. Leslie just came back from a trip to Costa Rica, just kind of some fact finding. And so it becomes important. So, and we are a part of a community called Exodus Summit, where we're starting to learn more about kind of tangible steps that we can take to be more agile, to potentially move around, those. So we're at this point now where it is important to do to have the services that you're talking about, right? And for anyone out there in TV land who are kind of in this, I want to have less things, I'm downsizing, or I'm thinking about traveling more in this stage of
you want a little more
life.
freedom.
You want a little more. And so it becomes time now to start engaging with this type of work that Gayle has around, call it whatever you like, whether it's decluttering, whether it's sorting, whether it's, being more agile. That's the term that I really like to use because it's like a motion term, whatever it is. So Leslie was like, "Oh my God, I need a Gayle." Like,
yes.
Oh my God, you do
on so many different in different places. Yes.
Yeah. So we do have a lot of listeners who are in our age group and
in our 60s, where we might be looking for retirement in the next few years, or we're empty nesters now, or we want a second home or third home or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
And I know that this conversation is allowing them to kind of relax, because just kind of knowing that a service like this is available, that in and of itself is like, okay, somebody sees me, somebody knows. Absolutely. So how would you, I don't know, like describe how you would, let's say Leslie, for example.
Right. How do you, no, that's a good question, actually.
Good,
how would you even assess the need? Because I'm like, how much time you got? Okay, let me tell you what I got going on. Let me tell you what I got going on. And let me tell you, and you'll be like, wait a minute, let me get some Tylenol and then we'll talk again. So how do you, clearly, it's not just physical clutter, it's emotional clutter. It's mental clutter. Right. How do you approach, the
work? How do you approach the work?
I mean, you guys are scientists and project managers. it's a systematic approach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically really getting people to dream.
Whoa. Hold.
Stop it.
What a beautiful beginning.
Yeah.
What a beautiful beginning. And I'll just say that Ange did that with her eldest son a number of years ago, who he is now living his best life.
Best life.
Out on the West Coast. And
Best
what
life.
she said to him, because he was raised in a family of high achievers, and you have a script that you kind of need to follow loosely, but follow expectations, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And one time his mama sat him at the table. And what is it that you said? I remember exactly, but you said.
I said, if you had no limitations at all,
like
money,
no limitation.
None. What would you do?
Yes.
And I had to cajole it out of him and tell him
because he kept putting up limitations.
That's
She's like,
not big
no.
enough. You didn't hear me.
Yeah.
And that conversation changed his life.
Yeah.
Changed mine, of course, because I just had a fabulous time with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
it starts
so
with
when
the
you
dream.
said start with the dream.
Because we've just been so used to squashing and littling up ourselves to either conform to other people, to conform to that box, to conform to our loved ones' expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many of us stop dreaming that we don't even know how to dream anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, what Ange and I, when we started this podcast, because we want people to start dreaming by showing them some of the things, the little things that we've been able to do just by starting to dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other big piece of the dreaming is really holding space. So kind of like what, Angela did for her son, like really just, and that's the capacity building.
Yes.
I'm going to open this space just for you. And I'm going to attend. I'm going to give you attention. I am going to put care, love, appreciation so that you can be fully in this space where you can think boldly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So even when I'm in someone's home and it's like, where do we start? Do we start in the kitchen? Do we start with the clothes? Do we start in the office? There's so many things. I just simply ask them, what are your dreams? What are you dreaming for? What do you want?
That's a beautiful.
And they probably say like, what now? What? What are you talking about? Let's just get to it. What?
So what does this have to do with getting
everything? It has everything to do with it.
Everything. And so, I did some work, the same young lady I was telling you about, she actually just sunk down into the couch and she's like, I want my home to be beautiful. She's like, I want to welcome, my husband. I want to have my friends over and have soirees and cooking parties. She's like, but I don't dare invite anyone over.
Wow.
And she just went on to say all of these things. And it came down to like her biggest dream was she wanted a family. Space was not set up to.
And her sanctuary was not her sanctuary.
Exactly. And so.
Wow.
We just kept talking. And so it helped me discern what's the best place to start. And
Right.
We just started with her clothes because that took up a lot of real estate for home. And, her desires to have kids. So she desired to have a husband first. And so we need to make room for him.
Yeah.
There's no room for him in this home. And so when I say dream, I mean that literally. Like,
isn't
that something?
Right. It's kind of like this is a theme with Leslie and I in what we talk about, this kind of binary, it's this or that. It is tangible or it's dreaming, right? It is vision or it's, manifestation. And few people really, really, really understand and can acknowledge that they go together, right? Mm-hmm. So Gayle just said, you start with the dream, right? You start with that vision. Mm-hmm. And then because she's this organizational whiz, y'all heard about this process, this challenge. Mm-hmm. I mean, specific steps, those 5 steps, right? So it goes from this vision, which leads, right? It has to be a compelling vision, because when you need to throw away that 40 pairs of your jeans, you have to have that, well, it's because I want to have soirees and parties and a husband and kids at my house. If you try to do the 40 jean thing without thinking about, well, what is it going to create in your life? It doesn't work. You fall apart. It's like, no, I can't do it.
Right.
And so those two things have to go together.
And that's our sweet spot as best friends for over 45 years.
Absolutely, it is.
The thing is, where we joke about being right brain, left brain, but we're so different that we fit like this. So Ange can be the dreamer and I can be the executor, because I'm organized, I'm regimented, and this and that. Right. And sometimes Ange has to say, Les, stop just dream it for a minute. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, she's like, I'm just ideating. I'm like, okay, because I was just going to say, when do we start? So it's the marriage of the two. And that's really what you bring to folks.
Yeah. If your dream is to park your car in the garage, it's gonna, because, and then you keep asking why. Why is it important for me to be able to park in the garage? I want to be in the elements during the winter time because I want my fancy car to be protected.
I want it to have, I want it to not last longer. I want to be able to unload groceries in a space that's comfortable and not burdensome and whatever. There's so many little things that add up to this,
And understanding your dream and the whys helps with momentum. It helps keep you going. Like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going.
Yes. You really keep an eye on the prize.
Yes, the prize. Absolutely.
I love that. That is so
That's beautiful. A great way to end, because we are so like about overtime, and I'm the timekeeper.
Wait. Okay, one little thing, because
and you never do one little thing. It's always
it's my party. I can talk more if I want to. Okay,
it's true.
So one of the things that, and you'll hear more about this, but so what you're hearing all along here is you got these two organized, kind of structured in the kind of common sense of the word, and then you have this kind of dreamer person over here, and you also hear that these things come together. They need each other. Remember, we used to only talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. And then now you're starting to hear about STEAM. They had to put the art in there, because without the art, it's just, so this idea of this or that is what we're kind of bringing together, right? We're creating the convergence around that. So in one of our kind of talks, Gayle and I, the idea of joy and order came up, right? Because we have this intersection.
Oh, okay. I like that.
And we're like, oh my God, it's great. So you'll be hearing more about that. We're kind of gelling the idea, what that may look like. And so you'll be hearing more about joy and order. And, it's all really about getting what you want out of life. My thing is joy, right? How do you create more joy in your life? More joy, please. Gayle has
order. I get joy out of order.
Exactly. We all have our ways of getting joy. Too. It's not, you know what I mean? And so that's what I wanted to say, that, yeah. So anyway.
I can't wait. Wow. You know, we could talk for another hour.
I know we can.
But, but we've got time. We've got plenty of time, God willing.
Come back.
Exactly. She's going to come back and describe how she helped me, and it's going to be like, okay, I really, really, really need to hold on to things. But you know what the problem, Gayle, as you can imagine, when you have space to put things in, you can keep them.
Yeah, it's like a big purse.
It's like a big purse. It's like I'm not running out of room. So why does it need to go? But it needs to go. Yeah. It needs to go.
Hold.
And so do we.
Yeah, no. But Gayle, can you tell people how they can reach you? We, of course, will have it in our description and so on. But if you could quickly tell people how they can reach you.
Found at Life Doula Inc. Or My Life Doula. And all of my handles are My Life Doula. So you can find me mostly on Instagram at My Life Doula. And that's I play, and that's where we're going to do some things with the Joy in Order idea. And so that's the best place to find me. My Life Doula, and lifedoula.com is my website.
Lifedoula.com.
You can get a free discovery call if you just want to talk through a strategy, or just kind of, think through, man, what could I do? How could I create capacity? I can give you some space, and we can figure that out together.
That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, I love that.
So no more excuses, guys. All right, Les, bring us home.
This has been another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Thank you, Gayle. It was wonderful.
This was
my
wonderful.
pleasure.